Love turns into obsession. Obsession turns into madness, and madness blinds the mind until a person loses the compass of reason. This is the story of the Eternal Bride. In a quiet country in a distant corner of the world, precisely in Germany, people knew this man by one title, the Doctor. But they did not know the truth about this doctor, who was not a doctor at all. Karl was 12 years old, an ordinary child like any other at that age until that night came. He saw in his dream a long dead woman dressed in aristocratic clothes named Anna Constantia, her face lifeless but her eyes were open. She stared at him and showed him the image of a very beautiful girl with white skin and black hair and said,
"A beautiful woman on the verge of death will come to you. Your task is to keep her alive by any means possible. This is a message from heaven, and you must fulfill it."
From that day on, Karl lived his entire life waiting to see this girl. The years passed, Karl grew up, got married, and moved between countries. He went to Australia, where he was imprisoned, then traveled to Florida and worked there as a radiology technician. But Karl was not a doctor by profession, he was an engineer. Still, he insisted on being called doctor, yet the dream of the beautiful girl he was destined to save remained carved within him, never leaving him for a moment. He felt that he lived for this reason, to save that woman from death. In 1930, a young woman in critical condition entered the small hospital where he worked. Her name was Maria Elena, 21 years old, with white skin, black hair, and features that seemed copied from that dream he had seen years ago. When Karl saw her, everything around him stopped. In that moment, all he could think about was that dream. She was the woman he had waited for 40 years.
This is a message from heaven, and you must fulfill it.
Elena was diagnosed with tuberculosis, a disease that at that time had no cure. Whoever caught it was doomed to die. Tuberculosis was slowly consuming her lungs. The doctors did all they could to save her, but it was in vain. They lost hope. Karl, however, became obsessed with curing her. He believed fate had entrusted him with this mission. He became her personal doctor, treated her and never left her side. He became her shadow. Over time, love turned into obsession. He tried on her treatments that made no medical sense, and strange devices he built himself. He even tried astrology, magic and electricity.
Gravitational constant times the mass. Planet has to work.
He showered her with gifts and jewelry and confessed his love for her. But she did not return his feelings. Death was faster to reach her heart than his love. Elena died, and everything was over. The real doctors declared her death, while Karl declared his failure to save her. He paid for her funeral, buried her, and built a beautiful mausoleum for her. He began visiting her every night, sitting beside her grave, talking to her as if she could hear him, singing to her and sleeping next to her. For 2 whole years, he lived this way. No one knew whether it was love or madness. He spent his nights among the graves. Then he began to hear her voice from inside the grave saying to him, "Take me with you, I am lonely here, and I'm afraid of this endless darkness." Sometimes he saw her hand reaching from beneath the earth to embrace him.
Please, no. I can't do this anymore.
After a long struggle between reason and madness, within Carl, madness won. On a dark night, Carl took a small cart and went to his beloved cemetery. He opened the grave and pulled out the corpse, along with the smell of death that came with it, but he did not retreat. He continued. He took her home and opened the coffin. He found a decomposed body, skin collapsed and bones exposed after the flesh had been eaten away by worms. But to Carl, Eleanor was still the same beautiful girl with white skin and black hair. He began searching for materials to rebuild her body once again, after it had decayed. He used piano wires to tie her bones together, then placed glass eyes to replace her decayed ones so that her empty eye sockets would no longer stare hollowly. He made her skin from wax and silk, filled the cavities with perfume and musk to cover the foul stench, dressed her in a gown and jewelry, and even applied lipstick to make her look more radiant.
I made this just for you.
At night, he would seat her with him for dinner, dance with her and sleep beside her. He did this for 7 years. 7 years living with a corpse. Some people began to notice his strangeness and mystery, but no one discovered the truth until the day Elena's older sister, Florinda, appeared. Florinda noticed that Carl still spoke of Elena as if she were alive and acted as though she lived with him in his home. Florinda decided to watch him from outside his window. She approached and saw what no human eye could believe. She saw something like a doll sitting on a chair, and across from it sat Carl, talking to it and laughing loudly. She looked closer and was struck with horror beyond imagination. It was her sister Elena, dead, dressed in a gown, wearing strange makeup. Carl was holding her like a puppet, turning her in his hands. Florinda let out a muffled scream and called the police. When they arrived, they broke into the house and found the corpse Carl beside it, chatting with her and whispering words of affection. He did not deny what he had done, nor did he run. He only said with a calm smile, "She is my wife, and her death does not mean our marriage has ended." Strangely, he was never imprisoned for his crime, as he passed the psychological evaluation and was declared mentally sane. The case was closed due to the many years that had passed since the incident. But the darkest part did not end there. After Elena was reburied in a secret grave, Carl bought a new life-size doll with the same features, the same hair, and slept beside it until he died. For Carl, death was not an end. It was merely a phase, an unimportant part of a love no one but he could understand. Some die in silence, and some refuse to let go of their loved ones in ways that surpass the limits of reason.
Thank you for following, and don't forget to subscribe, activate the bell, and share your opinions.